such a vibe on the mega ride. How sparks lights the neon glow. Got the answers you wanna know. Like and subscribe, don't miss the scene. It's a world of sparks and a glowing screen. Mega energy taking flight. How sparks mega worldwide tonight.
right. I think we're up and running. We're live on Substack. We're good on Instagram. If you're watching on whatever channel you're on, tell me where you're watching from. Just how mega worldwide are we today? Almost there. Give me one split second. Here we are. And I don't want it to start the music again. I didn't want it to do. Stop it. Stop it. I've got to turn my lights aren't on, and this is a weird thing. Why are my lights not turning on? What's happening? There they are. Finally, now it's working. Is it working? It is working. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. Thank you for giving me the greatest gift you can give any human being, and that is your time. None of us know how much we got. None of us know when that clock stops ticking, and so every second of your life is valuable, and I don't take it for granted. I want you to know that. And I appreciate you being here, especially, by the way, the maggot faithful and the the wannabe Votniks and all that crowd, the troll crowd that are having a real hard time out there right now. I think trying to get somebody to take their bait and say something awful or run with it or what have you. I got news for you. There's plenty of awful to go around, and you don't need to look on our side for it. Let's just start with the fact that this is the greatest chat room in the history of chat rooms, and it's nice to see you. Trump looks like a shit. Remember how I was telling everybody that Trump didn't age like other presidents during his first term, largely because he doesn't give a shit. He's in a club, not a population. He believes there's insiders and outsiders, there's elites and there's lowlifes, and guess which side all of us are on, right? And he's always been a walled, gated community, members only club kind of a person, okay? And so his entire life has been curated in terms of the people that he runs into and that he experiences, and so he is surrounded by sycophants and wannabes and comers and all that kind of stuff, and he that are most of the time he views as competitors, if that makes sense. That he thinks they're whether it's JD Vance or somebody else, that they're trying to they're pretenders to the throne. They want to take over his spot, and he can't allow that to happen until he's ready to secede it. And even then, they'll have to kiss his ring and get instructions, like he's Robert the Bruce with syphilis wrapped up in a attic, like in Braveheart. And so, when it comes to somebody like Charlie Kirk, credit where credit is due, he stuck to the written remarks in his little recording that he did, he is helping them deify, or saint, in Satan, Charlie Kirk, after he was assassinated, and it doesn't feel like somebody going, "Dear God, my friend is gone." It feels like somebody going, "Oh, I can get some points with these people who do think that," and it's just gross. So I'm going to do something on my show specifically today, maybe even tomorrow and through the weekend. But there are certain people that knew Charlie Kirk personally in the media sphere, whether it was Liz Wheeler, Glenn Beck, Megyn Kelly, some of those folks that were genuinely friends. And I do not include like Greg Gutfeld or any of these people who are incapable of friendships in that group. But there are some that in watching their response, you could tell they were obliterated by this. And I will not kick someone when they're down in those moments. We took a good long while before we touched back in with Silk and saw what she was saying after Diamond died. And the fact that Diamond died of COVID is lost on no one, and it hangs around. You do not have to race to be the front of the line to be the coldest and the most calculated and the most dunking on the irony of what people see as the fact that he was shot to death after saying that was the the Second Amendment. The cost of having the price of the Second Amendment is these shootings. Yes, Kansas Owens too. We can, and I will, give people space to mourn, because this is about politics. This is about how we engage in a democracy. And therefore, there must be some open space for that mourning to happen. There has to be open space for that. I have to be, and again, it's not about whether you think the other side would give you that or not. Obviously, look at Don Jr.'s response to Paul Pelosi's attack. If your answer in a circumstance like this is to go, well, Don Jr. did it, so will I, you're on the wrong side. You just are. That if you feel that way, and again, this isn't about judgment, this is about self-reflection. If you feel that way, then I would suggest you understand that had you grown up in an area where they sent you to Jesus camp, you would have been in the crowd at a TPUSA event just as much as you would have been. You think you would have automatically be aligned with Antifa, or you would have automatically be aligned with socialism or any of that kind of stuff. It's not true. Do you understand? No one is taught, people are taught to hate, people are taught bigotry, and you do not have to swoop in and answer bigotry and hatred with bigotry and hatred ever. You don't have to take the bait, and you don't have to allow people who would enact criminal violence on people to lasso your movement and drag you along with them because they allegedly share some of your beliefs, whether this person does or not. This applies to everybody. Yeah, being an asshole is not a capital offense, right? And it never should be. And I personally, I don't know any of these people. You guys know me. I barely know anybody in the, but for the people that are on my show, the Taras, Phil, Malcolm, a few of the people that have been on, the Sexy Liberal stage with us and talking to those people, I know those people in passing. But my world of friends is much more in entertainment and that work. That's where my deep friendships really are and have been. So I don't know a bunch of these people on that level. I don't have that kind of a circle. But some of these people, that's their only circle. That's who they are. Glenn Beck has been in political commentary for this entire time, and I think he's an asshole. I think he's intentionally deceptive, all those kind of things. But I can think that and also recognize genuine hurt and heartbreak and allow for that space. Doesn't mean my criticisms are weak. It doesn't mean my criticisms are less or that they don't matter. As a matter of fact, I would argue it means they matter more, because ultimately it's about who you are in the world. Who are you? Who are you here to be? If you're here for everybody to have health care and all that kind of stuff, then you can't really be for the death penalty with no trial, can you? I don't think arguably you can be for the death penalty at all, but you certainly can't be for political assassination and just the shooting of people you disagree with and then tell me that you're for healthcare. It doesn't make any sense. You can't tell me that you want people's lived experience and their generational trauma to be factored into the actions that they take and then say that doesn't apply to the victim of a violent crime because I didn't like their politics. And if you find yourself mixing those thoughts in your head, and they do seem to land on some ways, I would say to you, work on yourself. You are not welcome to align yourself with what I would consider my movement of politics and belief. If you're willing to, if that's the sacrifice. Yeah. Violence is not is an only violence when it happens to you. And everyone must be aware of their capacity for violence. Everybody. You have a responsibility to understand the damage you can do in your life. I'll tell you this, I'll give you credit for not doing it. I fault no one for their impulsive thoughts. And as a matter of fact, the person who has those impulses, has those thoughts, wrestles with that and chooses the peaceful path is in many ways a better person than the person who has never had those thoughts, or at least not yet. There's going to be a show. We're going to have a show. Don't worry. We got plenty of stuff to talk about, and it goes beyond the fact that because there's a lot of criticisms to be made of this government, and who is ruling it right now, and how they have not changed because of this circumstance. I'm just not going to pick on the people who are mourning right now. And by the way, that does not include Donald Trump. I call bullshit. I guarantee, just like I saw it, Donald Trump has seen the shot of Charlie Kirk's neck exploding after he was shot in the carotid and died effectively on the spot, let's be honest, or very quickly, in front of a bunch of college kids who were there to argue. I'm sure Trump saw that. When I saw that, I to be completely frank, I'll tell you what, it reminded me a lot of the videos that I have seen on the Telegram channels from Ukraine of Russian soldiers who are left behind, wounded on the battlefield, and choose to end their own lives because they know no one is coming to save them. It's visceral and terrifying and heartbreaking, and it is the absolute rock bottom of life. The terrible that happens in life. And I don't know how anybody looks at that and wishes that on another human being ever. Certainly not someone who wasn't engaged in any kind of violent act at the time. It makes no sense. And I am vehemently against it. I will always be against it. And it's why all this ratcheting up, everybody goes, oh my God, we've crossed a Rubicon. We've crossed this line. Where is our country? And okay, I said yesterday, you don't get to pin this shit on an entire group of people. You don't get to throw around they, them pronouns, which you don't fucking believe in, and pepper every Democrat or liberal in the country with the motivations of someone you haven't even fucking caught yet. And even if that person was if it was Chelsea fucking Clinton, it wouldn't change the fact that I want healthcare for everybody, that I believe we should give people a break on their student loans, that we should focus on manufacturing in this country, make sure we have a solid infrastructure, make sure that people have a living wage and those kind of things. And you're right, Rose. It is why, and I will stand by this consistently on this show, I have never, ever, not only have I not advocated violence, in political violence especially, but I have actively pushed back on it when people lazily throw it out there as if it doesn't matter. It does fucking matter. It does ratchet up. Awful people do terrible things when they think the rest of the world is with them. So, mainly it's because I don't believe my ethics, my morals, my belief system predicates, is predicated on the standards of another. I actually think the golden rule as we know it, treat other people as you would have them treat you, is actually very self-centered. I don't treat people the way I want to be treated. I treat people the way I believe humanity deserves. It doesn't have anything to do with whether or not they'll give back to me. I have a responsibility to be my best self. I live at that standard, not because if I'm nice to them, they'll be nice to me too. I want them to be nice to me, so that's why I'll be nice. No. I choose to be a kind person because that is the standard I want to hold for myself. I don't externalize my ethics and my morals. Well, if they're a dick, why don't I? It's fucking childish. If your standard is that of a toddler or a madman, why should I ever respect the things you say you want for the public at large? How are you any different than some flippant 15-year-old emperor who vacillates between they are my people and I love them and off with his head? How are you any different? And you have every right to be different. You have every right to be selfish and greedy and gross and myopic and misanthropic and violent. You do. You're you. But I'm not going to participate in it. And if anybody brings it to my doorstep, they will be asked to leave. They will be told to go find themselves. Don't go find another place to hang out. Don't go to another chat room or another show. That's not what I'm saying. Walk in the wilderness for a while. And stop, above all, taking civilized society for granted. So many people do. Do you know how many people are like, we need to tear down the system? You have no fucking idea how awful shit gets. And you need to be aware of that. You need to look at Sudan. You need to look at Burkina Faso. You need to look at Bosnia-Herzegovina and the rape squads that went fucking door to door when the government collapsed. You need to know that that's why it's or Tibet, yeah, right now in Nepal. You need to know that that's why a lot of people that you agree with and disagree with every day try to hold the fucking system together like they're fucking Spider-Man with the webs out both sides trying to stop a train from careening off a cliff. Do you understand? You understand how much of functional society you take for granted? You understand why when I'm fucking with right-wingers all the time, I bring up constantly that they're like, you know, they think they're libertarians. And you think, what's a fucking libertarian traffic light? I'll tell you what it is. It's a 10-car pileup. It's a shit episode of Chips is what it is. One of the reasons why you maintain a system of respect, mutual respect, comity, a functioning democracy, besides just the emblematic nature of it, the value of it as a shining symbol for people getting along and working out their differences without fighting. The biggest reason you do that is because of the weak and the disabled and the downtrodden and the poor and the homeless. Because if a system starts to break down to the point where people genuinely don't give a shit about following laws and the rules, who do you think gets killed first? When starvation becomes the system, when interpersonal fighting takes over, who looks out for the people when everyone is scrambling to cover their back like it's the fucking Old West. How many wheelchairs did you see? Have you ever seen in a Western movie? In a Western. It's like one of the things. Because this drives me crazy about this RFK shit, where he's like, we didn't have all these chronic diseases when I was a kid. Yeah, because they fucking died. The reason you're seeing so many people in fucking wheelchairs that can speak by blowing in a tube is because those people would have just died when RFK Jr. was a kid. But we've set up a system and we built it over time so that we can protect and care for those people. You understand what it... All right, my dad is an architect, and he worked for the state of Kentucky as his kind of day job before he was able to... Like, he started his own business, and then the flood came, and he lost it, and he went to work for the state of Kentucky, and he's an expert in period architecture. And I've told you guys many times about how we repaired the old library building in Frankfort, Kentucky. It's an old wood building, and my dad and I made square nails in the backyard in an old press, one at a time, just taking them out, dumping them in water, pouring these square nails so that they could recreate a section of the building using those nails so it would keep with the rest of the building. Okay. So my dad, that was a big portion of what he did. You know what the rest of his job was? Retrofitting buildings all over the state capitol in the 70s and early 80s, mainly in the mid 70s, to put in wheelchair ramps. You think a society, a dog-eat-dog society, where we settle our differences with the barrel of a gun or through killing somebody, or you think a society like that builds ramps for fucking people who are in wheelchairs so that they can have their voices heard? They don't. You know how you know? How many old Western movies or cowboys and Indians movies or movies from go look at the gangs of New York. You think there just weren't cripples back then? You think there just weren't people with illnesses back then that required medical attention? They just didn't have the resources. They didn't give a fuck. We built that over time. People built that and then built on top of it and failed and tried again. And so this idea that people throw around the whole thing's got to come down, or the whole, even when people start talking about it, not only is it fucking lazy, well, I was about to say it's dismissive of, but I don't think that's even true. I think people who call for that are well aware that some people just aren't going to make it. And a lot of them are going to be the people who aren't useful. It's what happened during the French Revolution. We've talked about that a little bit lately. It's what happened during the Cultural Revolution. It happened when they purged the czars in Russia. If you weren't going to be able to work in a fucking factory, you got rolled into a fucking river. That's why. And we look around and you see how, do you ever notice how the sidewalks all have little slopes that take them to street level at the corners? Do you ever notice how the crosswalks beep? Did they always do that? Anybody, most of the people in my chat room probably old enough to remember when none of that shit existed. When a curb was a fucking curb. And if you had a working crosswalk at all, it was a fucking miracle. Never mind the person walking or stopping. There were no beeps for blind people to be able to cross. There was no audio cues. And libertarians and anti regulation Republicans act like that shit fucking magically happened and it'll probably stay. We don't have to do anything about it. It doesn't take any maintenance or money or taxes or any kind of stuff just to keep that shit on. And whether it's the Jan Sixers or these Antifa pieces of shit in Portland chucking fucking Molotov cocktails in windows of businesses that are like selling fucking coffee. You think you're a revolutionary? You're burning down somebody's dress shop? What the fuck? You want to be a revolutionary? Really? You want to be a real revolutionary? Build something. Build something that hasn't been built yet. Anybody who's ever done, and I feel like the last couple of days, these shows have started off with a rant, but I feel like it's necessary. You guys know I've done CPR more than my fair share, and I've looked into the eyes of people who have died many, many times in my life, and it is. I was about to say it's indescribable, but isn't that a description? It's somewhere between work and sorrow. It's somewhere between the focused attention of a person at bat trying to hit a pitch and the sadness of a stranger's ills. That's your window in those moments. And if anybody's ever had one of those stories, if there's a nurse or a doctor in the chat who can talk to this, I'm sure you'll get what I mean. Yes, Robin, as a caregiver, you know, there is this window in a human's life when they are passing away or they're in danger of passing away. And if you've ever been there in that moment with a person you know or with a stranger, and I've had both, there is the one thing it does is it pushes all cartoonish and childish and bloviating bullshit out of the way, and it gets very real. And if you've had that experience, you can tell the people who haven't. Right? Monica says she's a nurse. My mom's a nurse. Right? You can tell when people are talking shit. If they've never been in a real fight, they may have boxed or they may have fucking done some taekwondo, kickboxing or some shit like that. But if you've never been in a fight where it could go really south really quick. Like it's a stranger in a strange place with a fucked up look in their eye and God knows what in their pocket as far as weapons or their reasoning. If you've been in a fight like that, you don't wish it on anybody. And you can always tell by how people talk about fights and fighting and fighty fight that they've fucking never been in one. Vinny says she was an RN for 13 years. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That window of genuine humanity, it leaves a mark. It does. I wouldn't call it, I have had in the past what I think would be called PTSD from some of the experiences that I've had like that. I wouldn't call it PTSD though, myself. I would just call it PTS. It's not a disorder. It's the order. It's the order of things. That's how you feel after that kind of a thing. After that trauma, you will have stress from the experience. In many ways, so that you don't have it in the moment, so you can make yourself useful. You push away everything in that moment. You push it away so that you can save this person or help or contribute or fucking run and call 911 and come right back, or any of the parts of that, put pressure on a wound, any of those things. When you've had to do those, the reason it's post-traumatic stress is because you take the stress and you lock it away so that you can help. It's what you have to do. But it doesn't just vanish. It just puts it on pause. It's why car crashes slow down. It's why your body shifts into function mode in a terrible situation. And that, yes, that mental block is not bad. It's not wrong. And so calling post-traumatic stress a disorder, which I think really should only apply if it's, years later and it's still impacting you, that's where it becomes a disorder, where the circumstances past, you have eaten meals, you have gone to bed, you have taken a shit, you have lived your life, you have had a Christmas or whatever, and it's still with you. That's the disorder part. But the time after it happens, for a good long while, you're going to have post-traumatic stress. It's a real thing. And in that time, you might not be kind of you. You're going to be a misfiring series of wires because you're feeling what you're really feeling in the day, and you've got this chemical, residual, emotional, and spiritual experience that you had that's swirling around in there too. And it's okay. And when you've been through that kind of thing, and I think the way you keep it from becoming a disorder is you allow for that to come when it's supposed to. You can heal from it, and you can help other people heal from it. And in circumstances like this, and maybe it's the amount of times, and I would say, like I said, the nurses and doctors or anybody who's gone through, a friend has had a heart attack, or they've seen somebody have a drug overdose and they've had to help, or somebody around them has had a food allergy or choking, like any of that stuff. You've done the Heimlich, whatever it is. You've seen that window. You've been there during that window of someone's worst moment, or even experienced it yourself. And, you can, I would imagine, and thank God I haven't had this moment yet, and I won't have it until I'm in my late hundreds, but you look up from the floor after you've had a heart attack or a stroke or something, and your family and everyone around you has just gone through that. Right? You can see it in their eyes. And damn straight it includes cops. And so if you're going to tell me that you're a liberal and a Democrat, and you believe in a woman's right to choose, and how children deserve to grow up well-fed and without abuse, and that they should not be indoctrinated in things, and that they should be able to learn, and you believe all these things, but then you shut it off because of online shit, and you could throw that around. What it says to me is that it's a mental exercise for you, and you haven't confronted it on a cellular level yet. Should be called post-traumatic stress response. I agree, Alexis. Because there's nothing disordered about it. I mean, I've often said, like, we name a lot of stuff, ADHD and all these things with disorder. And I would like to argue that I have yet to see the order in some cases. I have yet to see where the massive people in this exact same circumstance managed to handle it just fine. Fuck's wrong with you? Because that never happens. Like, everybody goes through that. It's not a disorder. And if it sticks with you, you need help and care to get through it. Right? All right, you'll get levity soon, Denise. Don't worry. Trust me. But it brings me to this circumstance right now. Because there's beyond, Charlie Kirk is dead. And his family is going to bury him. And his friends are going to go to his funeral and mourn him. And his children are not going to know their father. And at some point in their lives, God forbid, because the internet is forever, they are going to stumble across a video of his death. That's the reality of it. That's who's being really affected. Yeah. When you hit the bottom, there's only growth. I don't know. Some people can hit bottom and fucking stay there. And the goal is growth, right? Sometimes, I gotta say, sometimes hitting bottom does a lot, some folks a lot of good. I've told you guys many times that circumstantially in my career and in other things, I've had several times that I've confronted directly where I was completely fucked. Where I was like, yeah, this is pretty much as bad as it gets unless you actively are trying to make it worse. Right? But as far as like life sweeping the leg, and leaving you on the ground, sometimes you're like, well, I'm fucked. I guess I could, just by walking, it would be an improvement. Just getting up will take work and is improved. So if you hit bottom, you get a stronger shovel. Yeah, that's the irony. So, anyways, here's the reason I want to bring this up. This picture's floating around of Trump where, and this is not a manipulated photo. This looks like Bell's palsy. This looks like Trump had an ischemic stroke maybe in the last couple weeks, and that if he's not paying attention or working against it, his face is slipping. And it's one of the things you struggle with, where like age catches up to us all, and it's really hard to forgive the Pol Pots of the world when they experience this kind of stuff, especially when they take it out on other people. And I had a relative by marriage who was probably one of the most awful people I've known personally in my life go through a car accident and then heal very poorly, and then ended up dying of cancer like 6 months later, just because they were almost like out of spite. Just like, fuck this, I'm out. It was one of the strangest things I've ever seen. Like, it's like an anti-miracle. It was like, and somebody's like, wow, they went into immediate remission. This person was just like so bitter and so gross. It's almost like they pulled the fucking cancer cord and just left. Had no cancer in their last checkup. Next time, full. Just their body was full of it. Gone. And it seemed like a construction of their own making. And so it was very hard in that situation. It looked like, oh, they're doing it to themselves or something. That's what it felt like. And so, yes, Bell's palsy. Yes, you can recover from Bell's palsy. Bell's palsy, by the way, is a paralysis and a lack of control on one side of the face. It is usually the right side. Sometimes it's the left, but usually the right side of the face. And specifically, we had a crew member on Queer as Folk when we were filming in Canada. Great, great guy, and he was. We saw him every day, and then at one point, something happened during. I think it was like over a weekend, and he had. I don't know if it was because of a stroke. They never really went into it. Nobody really pried, but he had Bell's palsy for a period of time. It made his face droop like that. He had very little control over it. He made Stallone jokes about that side of his face going down, and then the following year it took him about 8 to 10 months to fully start getting the muscles in his face working again. It's a viral illness, yeah. So it's not that strange a thing to happen. It's a big deal though when you're president of the United States and you're not resting and you're gacked up on stimulants and vaccine injury, right? I'm sure the right thinks all of these things. That's the thing. If he keels over, they're all going to be convinced it's because of the vaccines, not because of the monoclonal antibodies, I guess. But so, anyways, this was at the 9/11 memorial, and I have to say, like, there was a video of him, coming back from talking about the shooter, and they haven't found the person yet. And he's still got, like, you can tell, like, if somebody's actively pushing against it, they'll do a lot of right eye squinting. They'll lift their face up by pulling on. I am speculating. Yes, I am, because they won't tell us the truth. That's the issue. So, anyways, let's take a look at this. They're making great strides finding Charlie.
Concerned for your own safety?
Not really. I'm really concerned for our country. We have a great country. We have a radical left group of lunatics out there, just absolute lunatics, and we're going to get that problem solved. I'm only concerned for the country. Yeah.
Again, gibberish. Like he said at the fucking 9/11 memorial, we were a dead country last year, and now we're the hottest country. Like, it's such a fucking, like, always be selling, like always be closing kind of Glenn Ross bullshit.
Mr. President, how do you want to see your supporters respond to this? Charlie Kirk was a big advocate of nonviolence and free speech on campus. How do you want your supporters to respond to it?
I think that way. He was an advocate of nonviolence. That's the way I'd like to see people respond. Say it?
Such leadership.
I did. I spoke to Erica, his wife, and we had a long talk, and she's devastated. She is absolutely devastated, as you can imagine.
Are you concerned?
Can I just say, the lean and the forwarding thing and stuff, we'll get to that in a second. Just that part right there. She's devastated. She's absolutely devastated, as you can imagine. He spoke to her at length. Think for a second, as a grown human being, and somebody asks you about someone you just spoke to whose family member died of anything, and is your answer just they're a wreck? She's a wreck. Anyways, there's no connective tissue in any of this conversation. There's no it's so weird, and it's not even like I don't want not even room to go. I don't want to share what we spoke about. It was very private, but I'd ask everybody to hold them in their prayers or whatever their belief is, or it's a terrible tragedy, young mother and blah blah. Like that. That's not hard. I don't even know her, and you could say something along those lines, right? But it's just like, yeah, she's devastated. It's he might as well be describing, after they lost their house to foreclosure. You know what I mean? Or like their house burned down. Like somebody in the Palisades, a rich friend of his whose house burned down.
Why haven't they found the shooter yet, Mr. President? Are you concerned that it's been 24 hours?
Well, I hear they're making big progress, and we'll have to see what happens.
Do you have any...
Again, no connective tissue in any of this conversation. I hear they're making big progress. Big progress. Big progress? It's like the same language he uses about trade deals. And we'll have to see what happens. We're going to. Either something will happen or something won't. Right?
Do you have any indication of
Big progress. Fuck me.
the shooter's motivation, sir?
I have an indication, yeah, but we'll let you know about that later. Thank you.
Do you believe the killer was a trained assassin? Usually your instincts are always on.
Oh my God. Shut the fuck up, lady. Do you think the killer was a trained assassin? Your instincts are usually spot on. Get the fuck out of here. Ugh. Oh, sorry. Yeah. My apologies, everybody. In spite of all this, there's so much going on. I forgot to... Where is it? There it is. Sorry, I had to turn this on for 1 second. There is always an overwhelming amount of nunt in a lot of these videos. I apologize. Especially, like, I was so focused on his droopy dog look that I forgot to warn everybody about the nunt. So just steel yourselves. Hold on, now I gotta shut it off. My button got erased that turns it on and off and fell asleep. I gotta rebuild that. So here we go.
I'd rather not say. I think progress is being made. He's an animal, total animal. And hopefully they'll have him and they'll get him. What he did is disgraceful. Charlie Kirk was a great person, a great man, great in every way, especially...
Just great. The word great comes to mind. Nothing, when I talk about my friends, the only word I can think is great. It's great. He turned into Tony the Tiger all of a sudden. Great.
With youth. And what he did,
he was great with youth. His fucking brain is mush.
This man did was disgraceful. So hopefully we'll have him and we will deal with him very appropriately.
Also, if you'll notice, anybody, like, the problem with this person who's obviously evil and a murderer and is a terrible person, he goes to animal all the time because it denigrates the person. That's why he died like a dog, all that shit that he throws around, because he thinks it diminishes the person. Like they're going to hear him speak and go, oh, he called me an animal. How dare he? I'm a human being. Like, this was not an animalistic crime, dumb fuck. It might be why you need an FBI. It might be why you got to, like, keep people at the FBI who know what the fuck they're doing.
Mr. President, are you frustrated that they have not caught the perpetrator yet?
Well, I hear they're making great strides, Maggie. I hear they're making
great strides. Great strides. I don't know what I was about to say is, like, he fucks up like normal colloquialisms and overlaps them all the time, and I keep thinking maybe he'll, he's like finding his way to the right, like he can't think of the phrase, and it takes him, like, what he means is they're making great progress is probably where, like, I hear they're making great progress, or they're, and big sounds cheap and stupid, and strides has nothing to do with anything, but he's just trying to, like, crowbar normal speech out of his fucking face.
Great strides. They have pictures and some other things, and they found...
They have pictures and some other things.
The weapon, big factor, so they're very talented people. We'll see what happens. Certainly we hope we can do it soon.
They're very talented people at the FBI. They can sing, they can dance, they can tap. And we hope he can do it. I guess Kash Patel do it very soon. Motherfucker, you don't even know anything about Thomas Crooks. There is, again, maybe, just maybe, and I'm spitballing here, maybe don't come into office and dismantle the most important federal law enforcement agency because of shit like this. Just maybe. I don't give a fuck if apparently you don't care about serial killers or interstate violent crime or kidnapping, all the shit that the FBI deals with on the fucking regular. Very talented. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. Kash Patel was like, Vance went to Utah. Kash Patel was in New York. They were all just doing fucking glad handing. It's so goddamn pathetic. All right. This is the... Meanwhile, there's so many of these, like... look at this asshole. So Rusty Trombone, I don't know if he had any relationship with friends with Charlie Kirk. I'm sure they met at some point, because I think, didn't he do a TPUSA event or something like that at one point? But I mean, it probably knows him about as much as he knows Matt Schlapp, right? And he's like, wants to pop on, this is more conversation, less hate, the immediate aftermath of Charlie Kirk's death. And in the description of this video, it says, we're not putting out today's show, but we'll be back soon. And because, I don't know, because they're not prepared, maybe it's just a technical difficulty, but it seems like we're not going to put out today's show because Charlie Kirk was killed. And so we'll put it up later or some shit. And to truly address the gravity of the situation, he's outside in a fucking kiddie pool?
When a famous person dies, especially...
Oh my fucking God. I don't want to hear the rest of it. When a famous person dies.
If a famous person is murdered, there's always a clamouring for a kind of territorial claims. I knew him in this way, I knew him in that way, I'm affected in this manner, this is my proximity, this is my affinity, these are my colours. I didn't know Charlie Kirk that well. Went on his show a couple of times, and he went on my show a couple of times.
So that's what you're doing. Fucking gross. You mean all of his friends who actually knew him going on and crying on fucking camera because their friend died, and you're like, might as well put up a video, showing how much better I am than those people, I'm not clamoring to get in on it, but I am writing that into the description and drawing it and titling it The Immediate Aftermath of Charlie Kirk's Death. It's a little bit of clickbait.
I was working with him, and what I liked about Charlie Kirk is that he was a provocative and confrontational man who was really willing to have conversations with people that he didn't agree with deliberately. And it seems that that's...
As opposed to accidentally?
In part, the inspiration for his murder and assassination. This is...
You have no idea, Mr. Jesus, like fucking Jesus, like hippie Alex Jones, where you're like, I've found Christ now. So I think one of the things that they teach us in Christianity is to leap to judgment and bear false witness immediately. You don't need all the details. You can just start judging people. It's one of the best parts of being a Christian, is you can just assume things about evil in the world. P.S. 4 rape charges in London, 4 rape charges in Los Angeles.
It's going to impact a lot of people because he's the first person from this space to be assassinated.
Great. What is that? Is that your idea of the fucking moonshot? Good God.
Have a scroll down your X, or have a scroll down, wherever you get your information these days. Perhaps it's from someone like Charlie Kirk or Steve Bannon, or all of the people, Crowder, Poole, all of the people that have emerged in this space, in this time. And you'll note that people that are, let's say, not fans of Charlie Kirk, although you'll be astonished if you're not a fan of Charlie Kirk, how many people clearly really, really love him.
All right. Well, if you don't have something directly important to say about this, best just shut the fuck up. People liked him. Some people didn't like him. Some people you think wouldn't like him do like him. I liked him. I didn't know him that well. But, you know, thought I'd post a video because everybody's clicking on the videos about him since he just died. I mean, look, is one buzzard worse than any other fucking buzzard? You know, we're all sitting on the carcass, aren't we?
How people are saying, well, you know, it's ironic because he was pro-gun laws, or why don't you care more about Gaza? And like, I for one do really care about Gaza, and I do really care about death everywhere, and what I really admire...
Yeah, especially when I'm in a hot tub. By the way, I'm not actually in a hot tub. There's a girls' camp nearby for 12-year-old girls or whatever, so I've set up a duck blind. I'm just sitting here in my Y-fronts waiting for soccer practice. So, yeah.
About Charlie Kirk and find particularly sad about his passing is that if all of us were more willing to have conversations with people we disagreed with and to try to be non-judgmental, not to say that he wasn't something of a provocateur, that he was an orator, he liked rhetoric.
Oh my God, this is the worst. I think this might be, besides people like dancing on the poor dude's grave, this might be the worst fucking right adjacent response to this shit. You know, you can say, I mean, you have to judge people. You can't say you don't judge people, but you would judge. This is fucking lame.
He liked dialectic. He liked getting into it with people. The idea that would be in any way used to justify an assassination.
Nobody's using it to justify his assassination. Fucking John Lennon, RFK, MLK, fucking Larry fucking Flint. It happens to public figures because some people focus on them and think that killing them or harming them is the answer to their fucking problems. The rest of us are not on the hook for this. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, Russell's like, why aren't they... can we stop talking about Charlie and start talking about me again?
Shows you something real powerful, significant and important. We're living in this kind of compounded momentum of online hate. What I mean by that...
Dude, you just suggested that people go on X to get their information. You don't think there's a link, maybe? Hey, maybe fuck Twitter. How about that? How about Twitter and like status update style sites are not places to have conversations. They're fucking signal flares. That's it. Maybe if Elon Musk hadn't turned fucking Twitter into Nazi Central, where everybody felt like they could beat their chest, and everybody who hates those people went, see, I told you, they've been here this whole time, and it's a rising thing, and if we don't take them out, they're gonna grow out of control, and he's gonna be the next Hitler, and all that kind of stuff. You don't think that maybe foments this bullshit?
Is that there's so much incendiary invective, and that person should be killed, F around and find out. So how would you feel if they were bombing Mexico or bombing Scotland? Constant comparisons and...
What? Again, this is another rich, self-involved piece of shit who thinks Twitter is a fucking window pane.
A constant escalating
I don't know about you, but like I've decided I should probably put curtains on my phone, yeah? Because it's basically a window to the world. Like it's like a magic mirror, magic window. You can like stare into it, and you can see the world around you. So I looked out my window the other day, and there's like a Tesla on fire, and there's like a guy stabbing a girl on a train, and there's some kid fucking eating Tide Pods, and I was like, I gotta close the fucking drapes. The world is terrible. Well, no, maybe you're just fucking mainlining 1990s CNN now. Get a fucking life.
Pounding, competing vitriol that in the end, an almost natural expression and graduation of it is
Oh, God. You know what? Normally I don't try to make these things about me. But, unfortunately, it's about me, you know? That's the issue. It's when big things happen like this in the world and you realize, oh, this is about me. Fuck you.
violence and murder. What I also feel...
You guys, that's why you clicked on this. You want to know how I feel. You're like, I'm feeling a certain way, but my feelings don't matter. I wonder how Rusty Trombone's feeling right now, yeah? Hey?
moved by is that Charlie Kirk's a Christian.
Was. Past tense.
He believes in the resurrection of Christ Jesus. He believes that Christ Jesus died for you and for me. He believes that Christ Jesus has no favourites. He understands or...
Well, then why in the fuck would you judge anyone, you absolute tit? If he doesn't end this fucking thing with pray for the person who pulled the trigger, because that's the only response, the government and man can mete out justice, but forgiveness is the purview of the Lord. That's it. And it is every Christian's responsibility to live up to that standard, whether they like it or not.
Understood that we're all gonna die, and if we turn away from sin, we may be redeemed and we may rise again with Jesus. And
so what you're saying is you fucked, okay?
I tell you, man, with this fragmenting culture right now, with people just almost competing to say the smartest thing, the most sanctimonious thing, the most sentimental thing.
Yeah, and that's my fucking job, eh?
It might be time for us to really consider some different ideas. And by different ideas, I mean ideas that we discarded. Ideas like
an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. And if a man lie with another man, it is an abomination. And if a woman is unclean, she's got to stay in a fucking tent for 12 days.
the supreme thing you can do is sacrifice yourself for what you believe in. You know, Charlie Kirk, I'll tell you this, he believed in what he said. And I think Charlie Kirk, if he'd known that saying what he believed in would lead to his murder, even though he was a father of 2 young children and a husband, I think he still would have done it. How many people...
Yeah, but he probably would have done it inside with better security. I mean, it's real fucking easy to say when you're fucking, I don't know, hiding in the bushes outside of Katy Perry's house, fapping on her electric fence.
In the chat, criticising him and saying, why aren't you saying this about Gaza or that about gun control or whatever? How many of them would die for what they believe in? Charlie Kirk has died for what he believed in.
No, he didn't. He wasn't planning on dying for what he believed in. He was killed, very possibly, for what he believed in. He didn't die for it. He wasn't intending on dying for it. There was no expectation that that was even a fucking thing. He was wearing a t-shirt, not a flak jacket. He didn't have a helmet on. He was not expecting to die. He was not saying today is the day and today might be the day, but I'll keep going. He wasn't giving MLK speeches going, I may not get to the mountaintop with you, right? He wasn't doing that because he had no reason to expect that would be that. He was killed out of the blue. Good God, this is just like, every time I think, well, you know, this is the most self-involved asshole I've ever seen. Rusty Trombone, man, he always manages to outdo them.
Killed for what he believed in. And a lesson we can take from it perhaps is...
Oh, good, finally. Everybody got your legal pads out? Here it comes.
Face-to-face conversations, even difficult ones, are necessary and certainly favourable to ongoing polarisation, particularly when that polarisation leads to out-and-out murder. As a Christian, I pray for my brother Charlie Kirk, and I pray for Erica and his family, and I pray for other people in this space like me, because the fact is there ain't loads of...
By the way, to bring it, I don't want you to think I'm caring about them too much. Let's bring it back to me. I'm praying for people like me, you know. People like me. Jesus Christ. No pun intended.
People in this space, you know, like of people that are online mouthy people on the left or right. You know, one thing I'll be thinking of how can I communicate with people that I disagree with lovingly and compassionately and intelligently, the way Charlie Kirk talked to me when I was at the beginning of becoming a Christian, when he told me that Romans is the Christian constitution, and maybe that's a constitution that we should all look at, a constitution that focuses on our status as adopted sons.
Great, terrific race, the Romans. Terrific.
Of the Most High, not material beings.
What have the Romans ever given us? The aqueduct? Well, yeah, the aqueduct, sure. And public health. Yeah, remember what the sewers used to be like?
Beings vying with one another just to be right online. I won't do my show today, but, you know, we'll come back in a couple of days or whatever.
Just get a free vacation now. Because I can, like, if I don't do a show, everybody will think, you know, I'm dealing with it, you know, and I'll get, like, pity chat money. Jesus, look at this grinning fuckhead. Holy shit. What the fuck? What is that? Yeah, so, while you're at it, don't forget, pray for me, you know.
And, you know, if you don't think Charlie Kirk's death is significant enough to warrant that, then you can ally it to whatever cause you believe in, because I believe in everyone's right to have free speech, and I believe in everyone's right to live freely.
Wow, thanks, man. Yeah, finally, somebody has the guts to say it. Of course, it's a Brit who can't even make free speech happen in his own fucking country, but, you know.
With one another and to find God between one another and within one another.
That's where he's been this whole time? I've been looking in the wrong place. They're digging in the wrong place. I am the monarch of the sea. I am the ruler of the... A British man is a soaring soul.
Stay free.
Stay free, maxi pad, you dipshit. Oh my god. Sorry, anytime somebody says that, like, they're digging in the wrong place, I immediately go to Salah in Raiders. Let's say just thought about how much money Kirk's wife is now. Oh god. Oh, nice. My birthday is this month. Very exciting. By the way, it is September 11th. I feel like I don't have to remind you guys because the morning is full of that stuff and the like. But I feel like maybe at the end of the show I'll tell my story about where I was when it happened. If that's even interesting with all this other stuff. Can I show you? This is the statement Trump made. He's covering his bruise the entire time. He looks like he's taking a giant shit. And like I said, the biggest, I mean, it's the most positive thing you can say about it is that he sticks to the script and he doesn't start going off on shit. Like, because he tends to, like, ramble and cut away. Oy. This was what he said, in case you didn't see it.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah.
Sorry, that's where the assassination happened? That's not where you are filled with grief and anger. I'm just saying some consonants followed abruptly by pauses at strategic points in the sentence that may help it. All right.
Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror.
Horror. Again, these are sales terms. Shock and horror. He's dead. He's been declared dead at this point. They've already, made this. This was made later in the day. They've moved past shock and horror to grief, I would guess, as human beings. I like united in even shock, but grief. You know what I mean? But it sounds like he's selling the angry part of it. Like this is when Stephen Miller writes your speech for you and he has no idea how other people process emotions.
Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America.
Okay, I wasn't sure which country you were talking about.
He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom.
God damn. What? Can we not use the word martyr? Because martyr is meant to be a vengeance point. That person it's like, the scary part of martyrdom and the most fucked up part of the idea of martyrdom is that if you avenge the death of a relative or a loved one, and you go after the person that killed them directly, that's not a martyr situation. Martyr is when some stranger killed a stranger, and you have put a pin in that stranger's death and said, I can use that to avenge their death as an excuse to attack that other side anytime I want to, whether I knew them directly or not. It's like in case of vengeful mania, break glass. Martyr, it's not a good thing.
And there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth.
This is the whole thing, like, by youth. Because he brought the youth vote, and Trump knows he wouldn't have gotten elected if Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA had not delivered, possibly Arizona, but a bunch of other states. And he knows this. And youth, like, it's so fucking lumbering.
Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith. And we take...
Yeah, he insisted, I'm sure, to Stephen Miller to put it put deep, deep, as opposed to deep faith. One deep doesn't explain it. It was deep, deep, deep undercover.
Comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven.
I would feel better if this turned out to be AI. I would at least go, oh, they put some work into it.
Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America.
Would you underline that part?
Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever.
The reason he thinks he did it better than anybody ever is because he brought, like, the young Republican crowd around, and it was pivotal to his election. The volume of people that TPUSA reaches out to and has addressed, this was just a changing of the guard as he got older from CPAC to TPUSA. They're the same fucking crowd. CPAC used to be full of college Republicans too, and then they shifted into this. It's not undermining the fact that like they did work. But they had a lot of money magically to do it with.
To share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas.
By the way, they often put common sense in it as a placeholder in Trump's speeches so that he has an excuse not to explain what the fuck he is talking about. It's common sense. If you have to ask, you don't understand common sense? What are you, stupid?
With courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year.
So Paul Pelosi and the Democrats that were killed in Minnesota and
in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of...
I'm sorry, your entire base said that Hillary Clinton drank the blood of babies. Knock it off.
Rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today.
How? I mean, what? Why? Like, you think these people needed to be talked into it? You don't think they were just, like, listening to him and drawing their own conclusions? I mean, like MLK wasn't demonized by people that led up to his killing. He was a troublemaker, I suppose, as far as that system at the time. But it didn't take, like, they didn't have social media back there, like, convincing people that MLK had to go. Most people didn't think so. And guess what? Most people don't think that Charlie Kirk deserved to be shot in the fucking neck, dipshit.
And it must...
Any more than we thought Paul Pelosi deserved a hammer to the fucking head. Go call your son and tell him to shut the fuck up.
Stop right now.
After you, buddy, you're called rape victims liars.
My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country.
So basically, he's going to take advantage of this. Remember how they always say, Democrats always do this, they never let a crisis go to waste. That's what he's talking about right here. This is never let a crisis go to waste. Take this and turn us into a police state. This is, in the right-wing world around Donald Trump, this is their 9/11. If you're talking about like giving law enforcement room to do whatever the fuck they want, this is how you do it. This is the Patriot Act being written.
From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York,
to the murder of Democratic politicians in Minnesota, to the attack on the former Speaker of the House's husband, where he was bashed in the head with a fucking hammer.
To the
shooting of Gabby Gifford.
Of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise.
Yeah, see, it goes all the way back to fucking Scalise and skips everybody that's happened since.
3 others. Radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans...
So, sorry, are you just worried that you think right-wing violence doesn't have the body count to talk about yet?
...to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died. The values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law...
forgiveness, peace, nonviolence... Sorry, that's Jesus. That's the stuff he purported to believe.
And the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best
Patriotic devotion and love of God. Sorry, there's a patriotic love of God? So you filter your love of God through a flag like you're making Jesus coffee?
of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country.
Yeah, but so what? They might try to. Doesn't everybody who does something like that? Weren't the Jan Sixers attacking our whole fucking country, dumbass? And you pardoned all of them.
An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because
Yeah, it kind of would have been better if he was able to do that and not be dead.
of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before.
Yeah, you don't know that. Remember how you guys? I've told you about my friend who went to that self-help seminar. That was going to change his life, and they said in the flyer it'll change your life. And then he came back. He left on a Friday and came back on Monday, and he'd done the whole thing. I was like, "How was it?" He goes, "It changed my life." And I'm like, "How do you know? It's been a day. Talk to me in 10 years."
And it's not even close. May God bless his memory.
And it's not even what? Hold on. Finish that sentence. The fuck kind of gibberish.
This heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close.
What? I honest to God, I rewinded that because I thought I had missed a section of the sentence. Because I'll talk and I'll forget where they left off, and I'm like, maybe I misheard him. So I back up, and it's not even close. Not even close to what? The fuck? Listen to that.
Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close.
Yeah, okay, so that wasn't in the script. That's him trying to, you know how he always has to fucking throw in these little extemporaneous blurts in the middle of shit? Not even close. Yeah, right. Not even close to what? It's not even close. Like, of all the people who died, you think, imagined by John Lennon with his little circle in New York or whatever, like, better look out. Our dead guy will be exploited for our purposes greater than your dead guy was exploited for your purposes. And it's not even close.
May God bless his memory. May God watch over his family. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you. Like, this is so fucking painful to watch. Like, there's no emotion in this. He's just barking out fucking nonsense in a fucking teleprompter. Like, zero connection to what he's fucking saying. Like, if he's got one emotion, it's not even anger. It's just kind of like irritation. He's covering his fucking bruise the entire fucking time. So much so that it's like he's in a free... Like, when have you ever seen him, like, claw his hand like he's a fucking Skeksis? Because he's covering that bruise. He's hiding that. Like, I mean, it's one thing to sit there with your fingers kind of together, but he's like, It's AI. I don't know. I like, if it was AI, they'd have done a better job. I swear to God, like, AI actually is better than that. Now, I don't even want to fucking do this shit with these assholes. Okay, on time. There's, well, let me show you I want to show you a thumbnail. And Benny Johnson's one of the people who I think he knew Charlie Kirk pretty well. And his statement that he made, while stilted and awkward, I felt, may have been heartfelt. I honestly can't tell. I'm not just dunking on the dude. I was like, what am I watching? Because some people, you guys know it. fucking Rusty Trombone's a great example. There are some people that when somebody dies, and you guys have seen me when somebody has passed, that I cared about, whether I knew him or not, who's well known or was pivotal, Ozzy's death. Like we've talked about these things, and I feel like you can tell that I'm not just going today, ladies and gentlemen. This is a solemn moment for all America. Like you're doing some like these talk about the people who are like, I don't know, they're posturing like they're fucking Walter Cronkite. Like they're trying to copy what they think that looks like in the real news or some shit instead of just talking, instead of just being real. Especially on the internet. Like I get it. While people who are on the Blase or the Daily Wire or something, where these like faux news outlets, these fake like cosplay news organizations. I can understand how they try to like pretend like the show must go on and therefore we have to act like adults around here. But if you're doing your fucking show from your house, simmer the fuck down. Say what you feel to the extent that you feel them. And if your crowd's like, what a wuss, you're crying like a gay. Like, if that's how your crowd is, then that's how you find out you're in the wrong fucking crowd. Yeah, Val Kilmer fucked me up. This is true. And it comes around on the regular. Hold on one second. I feel like we need...
Would you classify that as a launch problem or a design problem?
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said, I drank what?
So, yeah, if that's, just feel it. It's okay. And if your crowd won't let you feel it, they're not your fucking crowd. You're a poser performing for people who don't give a fuck about you. So, and we see a bunch of that. I mean, just watch Jimmy Dore stealing dead people's jokes left and right at that fucking thing he did in D.C. Yeah, Eddie. But let me show you this. This is, Benny Johnson does these fucking AI slop thumbnails on all of his shows. And this is what they put together. Him yelling at the picture of the suspect on his phone while holding up a black and white photo, like breaking news, Charlie killer pic released. This thumbnail alone is equally as disgusting as the self-serving bullshit video from Rusty Trombone. God damn, like, ugh, it's just so fucking hideous. And by the way, he did a video. Hold on, let's see. I haven't seen this.
The FBI just had a
Okay, so he does these videos like
press conference. It was live a few minutes before the show, and so we're going to watch these together.
Okay, he's just playing stuff, and he's been, I'm fairly certain he was genuinely crying either on air yesterday or during some of the clips that he was doing, and I gotta say, like, he can have all the room in the world. Okay, everybody should have that right. However, once you start clickbaiting off of it, it's hard not to call bullshit. And I don't know if it's just people who do it, and you've got a team and they just automatically do it, or you hired some fucking group off of Fiverr that operates out of fucking Thailand, and they don't understand your notes, so they post your fucking clickbait no matter what. But dial it the fuck back. Now, I want to point out, hold on one second, that there have been a bunch of these right-wingers that are who is it? Buck Angel apparently, had one of these like conversations with Buck Angel's a trans man who used to do porn, and now is basically an online activist. Kind of leans right, or is right wing, dealing on trans issues and what have you, whatever. But had this conversation with Charlie Kirk about trans issues, and as a trans person talking to them, not all in on. Here, I'll show you. I'll show you the thumbnail. Hold on, let's try to lock this back up. Shit. Okay, back the fuck up. I hate when it doesn't do that. Hold on. Yeah, it won't do it. Anyways, this is Buck, who is teensy compared to Charlie, who is very big, and they debated, the existence of being trans and all this kind of stuff from a balanced perspective, for the most part, and again, Buck Angel is trans. Charlie Kirk had Buck on to, I guess, debate the existence of whether being trans is a real thing or it's a mental illness, those kind of things, like the stuff he would talk about. Okay, and Buck Angel posted this video. Charlie Kirk was my friend, and it has a lot to do with not the fact that Charlie Kirk agreed with Buck's existence, but that they disagreed in a gentlemanly way. And Buck was born a biological female, is a trans man, just in case you guys don't know. And there are lots of people, Buck included, who are having a conversation about, Charlie Kirk in their life, about the heartbreak of, somebody they may have disagreed with or they may have debated with, or, those kind of things. But they considered, it to be, they were seen even if in a disagreement. Right? And so I guess that's Buck's take in that regard. Okay. I think somebody went gentleman bigots. Yes, indeed. Yeah. I mean, I got to tell you, anybody's welcome to their own bigotry and bullshit if they're not impacting my life legally, and if they're not affecting me, trying to impose it through physical violence or whatever. People can believe and be whatever the fuck they want, and if they do it without, swearing in front of my children or being a fucking animal in my face in some place, they get points for that, considering how difficult the conversations are, right? So, point I'm trying to make is, let's see, I think I'll show a little bit of this at the top. Hold on.
This is to the Kirk family and friends on the.
This, I feel like we got a big problem on our hands in this country. I think the violence and the insanity has reached such a level that I think we're all just becoming numb to it on some level. So I really wanted to do this about Charlie Kirk because, I had the pleasure of actually debating Charlie, which on some level it kind of really wasn't a debate because we agreed on a lot of stuff. I mean, he's not really okay with my career of the past, which is, again, you guys know how I feel about all that. I'm cool with all of that. It's why our debate was so great because, I just want to let you know that it happened 3 years ago, and I'll never forget getting an email from them and TPUSA, and I wasn't really familiar with Charlie Kirk, and then I did a little research, and I thought, wow, that's so amazing that he wants to bring me on and actually have conversation about the transgenderism movement and everything that I oppose in that movement, and he was really willing to sort of try to learn about certain kinds of things. And I just thought it was so amazing. And so I accepted the invitation, and the TPUSA treated me like a rock star, and they were just so amazing. And I did this great debate, which I'm just going to show you a couple little clips from it, and I'll put the link if you want to watch it. But it ended up blowing up and becoming huge for TPUSA. And also they invited me back a couple, 3, 4 more.
So in case, I don't know, by the way, chat room, I don't know how many people are familiar with Buck. I'm familiar with Buck Angel largely because of like, you know, the Queer as Folk community, quite frankly, for years. But Buck Angel has become kind of almost like like an elder in the trans community, trying to moderate the conversation about, you know, like he and Blair White are both kind of against surgery for kids, while they're fine with, like, you know, living as your, you know, your trans identity, but not having surgery until you're an adult, right? That kind of thing. And again, I'm not trans. That's their take on it. And maybe they have more reasoning after both of them have had massive surgeries and all kinds of other stuff in their lives that they've made. Maybe they've come to that decision naturally, and maybe they've come to it because of something that went wrong. Yes, Buck is trans. That person I was just showing you is a trans man. And I understand people hate Blair White too. But Blair, for those of you that don't know, hold on one second. Because I'm fairly certain they've had a similar conversation about this is Blair. Blair is a trans woman, very well known in right-wing circles. And, well, I'll show you.
God. This video sucks. This video sucks. My heart is so broken. For Charlie Kirk's family, his wife and his 2 babies. This is hitting me so hard, and I didn't know him personally. And yet, you know, being in this ecosystem of politics on the internet, you know, I would hope even people that do politics on the other side think that this moment sucks. Like I said, I didn't know him personally, but many of my friends did.
Yeah, okay. So they I guess she cut this together, whatever. Here's my point. That's someone who she's not faking. That's a person who's hurting. The same thing with Buck. Like, they're both feeling this. And again, somebody just said, you know, Charlie wouldn't have cried for her. It doesn't. You're still missing the point. That's not the standard. I mean, she's not faking. She's not acting. She's not pretending. She's really crying. She's not, you know, especially on the right, you don't get extra points for emoting. And my point is that on our side, I feel like we have much more respect for emoting when people go through it. And on our side, because we are, in theory, the group that is empathetic, does care about people, you don't get points for being insectile about it. Cold. It's not, Marie. She's not. I'm telling you. So and again, it's interesting to see everybody's response to this. You know, it really is, because I feel like it's an opportunity to see it reflected back to you, right? Because that allows everybody, I guess, that experiences with you to, you know, to take any emotions that we have with a grain of salt. Right? So the reason I also wanted to point this out, that she's
so
and again, hold on, that I don't, I'll tell you this directly. I'm telling you, she's being genuine, and I see someone going through heartbreak here. And I give people, even if I disagree with them vehemently, politically or philosophically, I give people that much room to emote in these situations, because that's where you find your empathy. In your sorrow and in your experience, maybe that's where you can learn to appreciate it when it happens to somebody else, because you're allowed to have your feelings and they're there. It's the reason, on a logical sense, why you talk about somebody who's not empathetic, not sympathetic, and then they go through something heartbreaking, and they go, and maybe that's their waking point, right? Where they recognize that they haven't been seeing other people's pain. Do you know, does that make sense? Yeah. So the reason I bring that up is that if somebody else is going through that, one of the ways you allow them to do it is not just because it's the right thing to do and it's morally a decent place to be, and it shows your ability and capacity for empathy. It also opens up that field of like, okay, here's that emotion you've been hiding from, that emotion you don't believe other people feel. You're not a psychotic. You know what, feel that heartbreak? Okay, understand that's what they're feeling. That it's an opportunity. If you attack it and go, fuck you, crocodile tears, when you see it really happening, you shut that down. You participate in the ongoing sociopathy of that exchange. Anytime you see a real trauma, real heartbreak, give it space. If you actually want all the things you say you want. Yes? For real. Because I'll tell you, if you look at Trump's video, if you look at some of the other people that have posted stuff around this, Rusty Trombone, they're not really feeling anything. That's a fucking sociopath using this situation like a fucking opportunistic infection looks for a cut. Well, then, Barbara, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking past you. And it's not inappropriate. And it's not a lecture. This is... Obviously, there is a blind spot in the conversation around this stuff, and it has more to do with the crust thinking it's the fucking pizza. But let's see, am I doing Friday Eye? Yes, tomorrow. But the crucial part of this, for all of us, is to recognize that not everybody's going to be like this. By the way, not everybody. You're not going to see genuine emotion Look at fucking Trump. You think Stephen Miller's going to have an emotional awakening because of the death of Charlie Kirk, where he recognizes that, because he can now see Erica Kirk's loss, he can now start to imagine what a family separated by ICE will go through? That's not going to fucking happen. He's still going to be awful because he's incapable of those things. And we don't make the world better by being more like him. We don't improve the world by being more like him. We improve the world by seeing these opportunities and going, hey man, maybe now you can understand why we're upset for these people. Because they're going through it too. How this is all MAGA's fault? Which part? Because again, are you the standard, or are they the standard? I like to think that I'm the standard. Yes? I like to think that I set the standard for my value in this world and my behavior in this world. I don't lay it off on like, well, if everybody's being a prick, I guess I'll just pick up a pitchfork and stab whoever's already on the ground. Yeah, there was hate before MAGA, there'll be hate after it. Question is, do you have the tools and the focus to respond to it, make the world better? That said, hold on one second. Let's see. Meanwhile, should we do a meanwhile real quick? I've got a... Hold on. Without objection. Hold on. I want to bring up one other thing. Because I also got to tell you, like, a bunch of the videos that are out there that are sort of floating around about this are a distraction from, even more of the... Where is it? Of the Epstein file stuff that is slowly but surely...
Gentlemen's recognized.
Eking its way out. While this is all going on, let me share with you a couple of moments where everybody's like, I don't know if you guys saw, but Schumer introduced an amendment into the defense authorization, which is a must-pass bill to release all the Epstein files. And this, because they put it in there in that bill, they can place amendments. The Republicans will have to vote for it or to table it, which means they'll get a yes or no vote on every Republican in the Senate about whether they think those files should be released. It's really a smart move. Meanwhile, let me take you to the Congress.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just following up on a little bit of what the ranking member was discussing, there was a significant event this week in which this committee has jurisdiction over. The Speaker of the House, the third highest ranking U.S. official, third in line to be the president, looked into the TV cameras and told us that the current president of the United States was an FBI informant. I consider that to be gigantic news.
Yeah, especially since Kash Patel should have been the first person to come out and go, well, we sure could use him now.
And I'm just curious, have we reached out to the FBI, to Kash Patel, to confirm whether the president was at any time an FBI informant? I only say that because the Speaker of the House obviously gets significant briefings. He gets briefings that we do not get.
No, he didn't get a briefing. He got a phone call from Trump, who wanted to concoct this fucking bullshit story.
As regular members. And so I think that...
By the way, he wasn't an FBI informant. He dry snitched on Epstein.
This is something that we need to hear definitively. Before Kash Patel comes, we should clear up, maybe that we should send a letter to him to find out if the president was an informant. And if he was an informant, is that because he was working with the FBI after he was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein?
Yes. You only become an informant if, I guess, you're willing to go undercover. And so you're like, don't worry about it, guys. I know nobody wants to go to Jeffrey Epstein's properties and hang out with all these girls and that kind of stuff. So I'll do it, and then I'll tell you guys what's going on. Or you bust the fucker, and he's like, I'll roll up this guy if you let me go.
Did he turn?
Oh, thank you, Benacambra. Thank you so much.
Because he got caught with Jeffrey Epstein. You know, when you're an FBI informant, there are lots of questions about how you became an FBI informant. And then how long was he an FBI informant? When did his service to the FBI stop, you know, being a member of the deep state? When did he...
I think that's my favorite line of the whole thing. I just needed you guys to see that. Being a member. So Trump effectively has been outed as a member of the deep state. That's the angle. Fucking so good.
Stop doing that. I mean, look, if a regular member had said this, I would discount it. But the Speaker of the House is the one who said it. And then he said afterwards, well, I may have misspoke. Well, what was his misspeak? Instead of informant, did he mean?
Dry snitch. He was a dry snitch. Trump was a dry snitch. Hashtag dry snitch. Hashtag Trump was a dry snitch. Dry snitch. Remind everyone to Trump was a fucking dry snitch. He wasn't an FBI informant. He was a dry snitch. He called the cops on Epstein, and then he called Epstein and said,
"Is at the front door."
"Oh dear." And then Epstein called back. Somebody's at my door. Oh my god. I think we're okay. Oh yeah. Okay. I've got a little camera there and stuff. Yeah. Epstein who? Right. Exactly. Yeah. Trump snitched on Epstein and then called Epstein and said, "Hey man, somebody snitched on you." That's what a dry snitch is.
An agent? I mean, what is the misspeak for informant? I mean, I don't know another word that we use when we're describing an FBI agent or
snitch. It's snitch, but he was a dry snitch. So yeah.
FBI informant or undercover. I mean, what was the misspeak here? And if he was lying then, is he lying now? I'm just confused. Perhaps maybe the Speaker should come to our committee and tell us what he meant when he said that. It's just...
Point of order.
I'm still speaking.
Mr. Chairman?
I'm still speaking.
Is there a bill or an amendment on the floor?
I strike the last word. I'm allowed to finish my...
Gentleman from Florida has the time. He's speaking...
Yes, he's speaking extemporaneously and dunking on Trump. He is teabagging the president currently.
I think he's speaking about the bill. Well, he's not really speaking about the bill, but he's recognized to speak about the bill.
Well, he's just been interrupted for about 30 seconds. I'd ask that it be added back onto his...
Can we move to restore his time? That was a completely improper interjection.
Time is stopped. We'll give him plenty of time. I'm usually good about that.
Well, thank you.
Usually.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your indulgence, and I'm only bringing it up again because this committee is the committee of jurisdiction over the FBI, and I don't think in the history of this country we've had a Speaker of the House say the president was an FBI informant.
Yeah.
I mean, that is...
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. Yeah, it's something, by the way, that maggots hate and should be hammered like fucking crazy.
I mean, that's a dual role if I ever heard one. And so I just think we have questions, Mr. Chairman, and on a bipartisan basis, maybe the answer is no. He wasn't an FBI informant, and that's fine if the answer is no. I just think we need to hear from the FBI. The Speaker has confused the American people whether Trump was working with the FBI against Jeffrey Epstein because he had information about Jeffrey Epstein because he was there for a long period of time and then got turned maybe by the FBI. I mean, did Trump ever go undercover? I mean, these are questions that the Speaker has raised. By the way, President going undercover would be interesting, you know, but these are questions that he's...
I love the fact that, and this is exactly what everybody's been saying, like, peel this back. Address this, right? Like, because it's so nuts. Saying the president was an FBI informant is so fucking crazy. Just uttering those words is so ridiculous. So it is so great when they're not letting it go. So, yeah. Jared Moskowitz, FTW, he was deep undercover. So, yeah,
phrase, that is not a misspeak. There is not another adjective or verb for FBI informant.
Snitch. Snitch. You could say snitch. He was a snitch. They'll love that. Throw that in there. Was the idea that he wasn't technically an FBI informant? He was just a snitch? That he was just snitching, but he still hung out with him? Why didn't he snitch sooner? Yeah. One moment, please. Okay. Okay, hold on one second. Tell him. Sorry. That's okay. I'm at the end of the show, so I've got to run. There's somebody at the door. It's going to take some time. Give me a second. Love you guys. It's okay. I'm over time anyways. We'll talk more about this tomorrow. Everybody take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. Okay, off I go. I got to put on music and I got to... wow, there's so much to do. All right, excellent.
Crooked smile. Words spill out. All venom, no style. Promises made, they rot in the air. A handshake, a lie, a blank, cold stare. This is some bullshit. We see through it. This is some bullshit. Can't undo it. Say it loud. We won't quit. This is some paper thin truths that crumble like ash. Golden thrones built on stolen cash. We raise our fists, we break the mold. Your house of cards is getting old. Static hums, the wires ignite. Truth's a bomb, we're ready to fight.